Fu Xuan is still a top tier cracked sustain unit. And today, I will tell you how to build her best. Let's talk relics. Her relics are pretty straightforward. There is no universally good 4-piece that is good in every situation. But as of now, her best all-purpose relics are 2-piece combos of God of Withering Snow combined with either 2-piece Longibus Disciple or 2-piece Messenger. The 4-piece guard just doesn't compute with Fu Xuan, as her talent will kick in the moment she drops too low in her HP. For the planar ornament sets, you have a few good options. Go Broken Keel if you put her into heavy crit teams. Fleet of Ageless for teams thirsty for attack like Kafka Black Swan, for example. And on top, it makes her pretty tanky. 2-piece Penacony is nice if you use her in Quantum Mono teams, giving the entire team 10% more damage into herself, 5% energy recharge, which is nice to get her bursts off quicker, which means more heals and stacks for her talent. In terms of main stats, you would go HP percent on her body, speed on boots, HP percent on the sphere, and certainly energy recharge on her robe. For substat priorities, look at this here. Speed until you have at least 134, HP percent over def percent, and get also some effect rest. As for speed, you want to have at least your regular 134 simply for the fact that it allows her to go twice in her first cycle. On top, you can make her go before most enemies and pull off her skill in case you haven't used her technique, preventing that your team gets ambushed with their pants down and take up pounding. As for her 135 energy requirement, she generally gets her burst back every 4 turns with an energy rope, but without one, she should get it back once every 5 turns. This is assuming she gets hit roughly 3 times each. So the rope is a must. For most purposes it's fine, but if you get pressured a lot by enemies, you might need to use the skill again. In that case, you can make use of her passive that gives her extra energy for doing so, which is great for emergencies. Alright, with relics in place, let's look into her best Lightcones. S1 Shut Eyes is without surprise still her best choice. It's incredibly powerful in her, as Fu Xuan is already a unit with plenty of valuable role consolidation, but this Lightcones passive turns her a little more into an abundance unit. It makes her at the start of every turn recover LA HP by 80% of what they have lost, making it impossible for you to die on her. On top, her max HP gets increased by 24%. She gains 12% energy regen, and when her HP is reduced, all allies get damage increase of 9% lasting for 2 turns. S1 Moment of Victory is also pretty decent to turn her into a pink tank. It increases defense by 24%, EHR by 24%, and when she gets attacked, she gains another 24% defense until the end of her turn, so 48% overall. But the real kicker with this Lightcone utility is that it increases the chance for Fu Xuan to be attacked by enemies, which means her teammates get less. But if you don't have that piece, then Landau's Choice will be pretty competitive, if not on par with S1 Moment of Victory at higher superimposition. It also makes enemies attack her more often, but in return lets her eat less damage. Pretty good pick. If you don't got the 5-star choices or Lando's Choice, you can run Day 1 of My New Life. It gives a decent chunk of defense to Fu Xuan and increases all resistances of your team by up to 12%. Trend of the Universal Market is specifically good for Acheron teams, as it applies a burn to enemies, which gives Acheron more stacks to her burst. So if you play her with Acheron, this LC is a must. S5 Textures is your last line of defense if you got nothing else, making her very tanky and gifting her some effect rest. On top, you also get a shield, so that thing is pretty decent if surviving is all what you want. However, note that the shield won't protect her from damage that gets redirected from her team to herself, so that diminishes some of the value. but after all it's still decent on her. Now let's hop over to the teams. Fu Xuan is a very flexible support, so really you can slot her pretty much anywhere. You won't do a mistake. However, in this day and age, specialists can overtake her in certain roles. For follow-up, Aventurine is straight up better without contest. For DOT, Huo is the better choice, especially with Black Swan Kafka. The team where she will unevocally shine the best is Quantum Mono. Hands down, Seele, Sparkle, Silver Wolf and Fu Xuan. If you got all the pieces, you can run a semi-decent team, even though Seele kinda lost her edge over time. Xingxue of course works here well too. Besides that team, Fu Xuan has a lot of synergy with Blade, as he needs to get hit to access his talent. Same thing with Clara, as she needs to get hit to trigger her passive too. For Jingyuan, she is decent, as well as the CC block will make sure that this dude gets his damage off from his lightning node. Let's now run over Pink Gremlin's traces. Her basic deals quantum damage to an enemy scaling of her HP. So it's very basic. What a shocker. Her skill is way more interesting, so let's hop onto that instead. She activates Matrix of Prescience, which will have teammates redirect 65% of the damage they take to Fu Xuan instead. That percent is fixed no matter what trace level her skill is. This 65% is passed on her regardless of shields. So even if your unit takes some damage but they are shielded, that damage taken will still be passed onto Fu Xuan regardless. This effect lasts for 3 turns. While this effect lasts, your teammates gain the knowledge effect. This will increase your teammates' max HP based on a percentage of Fu Xuan's max HP depending on trace level, which is 6% at level 10. Plus, at trace level 10, her skill can provide your teammates with 12% crit rate. Pretty juicy for recruit teams. And nowadays we want more than just pure sustain. If Fu Xuan gets killed, then her matrix will be dispelled, which means all of her current buffs will disappear from the field too. This skill makes her a brilliant solo sustain unit who can act as a team-wide cleanse blocker just from doing her regular rotations. And with a field up, it's borderline impossible to get one-shot by enemies. Then for her pretty burst, so much explosions for a drop of blood. She deals quantum damage to all enemies scaling of her HP, which provides her with 1 trigger count for her talent. What does her talent do? Well, while Fu Xuan is alive, Misfortune Avoidance is applied to the team. With Misfortune Avoidance, allies will take less damage, which caps at 80% at trace level 10. When her max HP falls to a fixed 50% or less, she will restore a huge amount of the HP she is missing with HP Restore. That's why the 4-piece guard isn't that hot, as often you just don't fall below 50% at the start of her turn in order for its passive to work. With this talent, as long as she has at least 1 stack, she will never run danger to get one shot. And 1 stack is already gifted at the start of the battle, and at max you can have 2 of these. And whenever you burst you can gain a stack, so therefore it's quite important to get her burst back quick, as otherwise she will just get whittled down, and so does your team. Her technique provides your team with a barrier for 20 seconds, which will protect you from getting ambushed. But if you enter battle while this technique is up, she immediately activates a matrix for 2 turns. Her A2 will let Fu Xuan regenerate 20 energy extra every time she uses her skill during her matrix state. This allows you to use extra skill for emergency situations when your HP runs out and you really need that burst quickly. Her A4 will have her ult heal her allies by a fixed 5% of her HP plus a flat 133. This is exactly the thing that allows your team to hang on. It will be sufficient for most situations, but some challenges like the Sam boss, you will see yourself getting whittled down. Her A6 protects your teammates from any crowd control debuffs once, and every time you use her skill, that count gets reset and it works once more. As for the talent priority, it's skill and then talent. You don't really need to raise her burst or basics. If you are short on resources, just leave them at 1. With that being said, the only reason why you would ever want to pull for Fu Xuan Eidolons is that she is your #1 waifu for whatever reason. But if you are not one of those, you can easily skip them. Just in case, I'm gonna cover them briefly anyway. This Eidolon is actually pretty great for an E1. It provides a 30% crit damage increase to all your teammates with a knowledge effect, a decent buff. This Eidolon will prevent your teammates from getting one shot at any point while Matrix is active, and everyone will restore a fixed 70% of their max HP. While this is a good in a pinch, it will only be usable once per battle. E3 upgrades her skill and talent levels by +2, a welcome upgrade to these abilities. E4, when other enemies get attacked during Matrix uptime, Fu Xuan regenerates 5 energy, which helps quite a lot with her sustain. Upgrades her ultimate levels by +2 and her basic level by +1. Pretty much completely garbage, only useful if you go all the way to E6. Once Fu Xuan uses her Matrix effect, a tally will be kept of all total HP lost by your team during the battle. Fu Xuan's ult damage will increase by 200% of this HP loss tally. The tally is capped out at 120% of Fu Xuan's max HP and will reset and start again after you use Fu Xuan's ultimate. So a mini nuke in your pocket. In my opinion, Fu Xuan is a very potent sustain if you are willing to grind out her skill and talent. If you got her an Aventurine, you are set for pretty much anything the game throws at you. But once your account is far enough developed, you want to look for other supports other than Fu Xuan with better specialization for certain playstyles. But all in all, she still reigns supreme as one of the most valuable mitigation units in the game right now, being a solid S+ tier unit. And that won't change anytime soon. Well then, this has been Neostar Impact. Peace.